Okay, good. It's on. It's perfect. Okay. The big day, Rabbi say. Okay, it's a big day. Let's go. Today's the day. Now, hopefully next week we'll start already Binyan Mikalim. So today's the day we have to finish Baina Bekarka. We have to finish Baina Bekarka. And it's also Chazak Minis Chazek. No? You guys ready? So that's got to finish up Baina Bekarka, Mitzvah Hashem, and then hopefully next week we can start from Binyan Mikalim. That's Hashem. That's Hashem. I was just going through the Siman with Aleph, the Beis Gimel Dalet, Olam themselves sort. I'll point out two or three more things, and then I want to go to the cases today to try to apply everything that we spoke about over the course of the last week and go case by case of Baina Bekarka. First of all, yesterday, I'll say a case that I was going to end the shiur with, and I won't go into it right now, but in the middle of the shiur, we'll go into it more. But related to what we spoke about yesterday, at least in one aspect, was the shaila of, some people have it in different name. There's something called a boidim. Is a boidim a Yiddish word there? Yeah. It's a Yiddish word? Yeah. Okay. And so does everybody know what a boidim is? Well, it's not an attic. It's like a storage piece that like sometimes it'll come down. Imagine in this room, like there would be like, a piece that would jut out from there. And over there would be something, and inside you could store all your things. What could you store in there? Like suitcases you could store in there. Sometimes people have like extra svarim and things like Rabbi Kivagers, all different things you could store. But it's a boidim. That's why is it called a boidim? Because that's the word in Yiddish. But interesting, what they do with the boidim a lot of times is that nobody wants to see. It's like an eyesore to have like a door there and like a door knocker. It's not good path. So what they do is they make like a door. Which today it's gotten really fancy. In the olden days it was like, you know. And today you can't know. Sometimes you just like click it and it clicks out of place, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. They can have like a trap thing. It looks like mamish, like a part of the wall, right? So this is something that mamish looks like a part of the wall, and you can take it off. And also another thing about a boidim is that it's rare that you go into a boidim every 30 days. I'm saying a boidim, sometimes like especially luggage, and especially if you have a different set of Rabbi Kivagers, it's something you can go into once in 5 months or who knows what, or whatever, right? The guys that are traveling all the time, I don't know if they have, first of all, I don't know if they have boidims, and second of all, I don't know if they keep the luggage in the boidim. So you get my point. So Lefi, what you learned yesterday, be a serious shiloh. To take it on Shabbos. Where's it Negeo? Why is he? Why on Shabbos? That's why I didn't want to use the case of luggage. Like usually on Shabbos, why is he taking out luggage? What would be a case? What? That's why I said Rabbi Kivager or something. What? Pesach dishes. Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, Pesach. You have a case. You have a boidim that has a Pesach dish. Yeah, that's very good. You have a case that has a Pesach dish, and then here it is, and it's Shabbos after Pesach, and you realize you didn't put away one of the dishes. So you want to open it up and you want to close it, and it's going to be closed for the next. And this year it's not even going to be closed for 12 months. It's really for 13 because it's an Ibayar, right? What? I don't know if that's achana. It's preservation. He's just preserving the item. I don't know if that's called achana. I'm not sure if that would be called achana. What? That's not achana. It's making it that it doesn't get ruined. You're doing something with the toyelas to the item. What? Oh, okay. So there you go. He left his Rabbi Kivager in a suitcase. All right, there you go. And I has to take out the suitcase from the boy. Kids I'm noita that this is a problem. And now we might going to get soon to something where I think it's for sure going to be a problem. But even if what we saw yesterday, it definitely has its surah of something, which is the wall. Sorry? What? Why should it be like that? What? Well, one second. I'm not talking. Maybe I didn't clarify. I'm not talking that it has hinges and it opens up and hangs there. Then it's a part of the wall. Then you didn't take it off. I'm talking where Pashik comes off. It's a piece that comes off. Right? No, I didn't understand. Okay. Akapanim, that's l'chayr. That's l'chayr. So I don't know. I mean, that's one case. Another case is that so somebody yesterday told me, I said a case that the person has his money in the tris box, which I saw from the audience reaction. It's talking good. You put the important things in the tris box and whatever. But so somebody yesterday told me like this. He told me I shouldn't say who he is because then everyone's going to know where it is. But he says what a lot of people do is they have like one tile which is just not really connected, or they'll have behind like something that looks exactly like a wall, right? And it's really not. There's a piece that just comes out and whatever, and you plop it right out, right? Okay, so sometimes it's like that, and it just like clicks and it's on hinges and whatever. But sometimes it mamish looks like the wall, and it just comes right out. It comes right off, and it looks exactly like the wall. Kafi, what we saw yesterday, if you're not going in there every 30 days, for sure a problem. Even if you're going in there within 30 days, so this is going to get into Sif Dalid, which that's why I want to come back to these two cases. I want to come back to, but the case of the tile, you have a tile which is off, and nobody knows what's going on underneath there, right? Maisa, somebody told me that he has a tile. This we have to talk about soon. But somebody told me he has a tile which fits into place. It looks exactly like the tile, and you pick up that tile, and underneath is a sponge hole. Underneath it's a sponge hole. And this is mamish again because something spills on Shabbos, and you want to just put the schmitz. He says, look, he opens up the sponge hole every couple of days, every few days, definitely once a week. But this is complicated because it seems to be over here that, let's see, we definitely have, it opens up within 30 days. But does this fit in? Like a luach or something that you plug it up. And we don't need to moisten. It's something that you planned on doing Erev Shabbos. So it seems like the viola, that would be okay. That's okay, right? The only thing is, we'll see in a moment, there's another sugya, which is known as a delisam. There's a very big difference between this case and the case that I'm talking about. What's the difference? What's the difference between the Pkaka Cholin and the case that I just told you about? Here, Mamish, Pkaka Cholin was borrower and clear to everybody that is something that is the window. It's something coming in and out. This, if I had to be madam at this, I would be madam at the Sif Dalid. I'll skip for a moment and maybe I'll come back. But Sif Dalid right now talks about, unfortunately a little bit in Yana Diyoyma. This thing is called a delis almana. That's what the Gemara calls it, a delis almana. What's a delis almana? So Gemara is a little bit more chamer when it comes to the inyanim of a delis almana. The Gemara says this is a delis asui miluach echad, or she'ein lei spruka tachtaina. Basically, in our musagim, it means something which really seems to fit in to the structure. It doesn't look like a door. A luach echad was an example of something that just like really didn't look like a door. And kishepaiskin shoymten oisai v'oikern oisai ve'ein noyelim by afilu yesh. Let's say this thing is mamish aser. Over here, the Mishabura is far more aggressive. Mishabura in Simchat Chavtes, also in the Bir Halacha, in the Ramaskal Gvoyim. It's a long Bir Halacha, but he writes over here, where are the words I wanted to show the Oilim. He says, Rabbi in Chavtes. He says, Miloshin Mechaber Mashma Kapanim, you need kosher. Svirle Dafilu Eina kosher. No, where's the one I want to read you? I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I read the wrong one. Sorry. Sivkat Lamed. It doesn't look like other doors. Got right now, it's not a cause of door. I mean, it doesn't look like other things that you go in and out of, which my example is the tile and my example is a boidim, right? It doesn't look like it. Adrabah, that's the whole knack, is that they make it look as if it's something that, nobody's going to know about. So kistima ba'alma v'nira kebaina. And he says, this thing looks like something that you go in and out of all the time. So I'm sorry, even if you go in and out of it all the time. I feel if you go in and out of it all the time. So l'chayra, that's why it's very important to read all these sifrim together. I would think, this is what I would think, if you have a fake tile, you know what I mean, a fake tile. I mean, you have a tile that's not attached. I would think even if there's a hole that you go in every day, right? It's a problem. Same thing with the boidim. I think it's the same problem, right? Same thing with what was my other case? The wall that comes off and really there's a safe behind there or something like that. I would think that this is a very, very, the real isser. I don't think it's deraisa. I don't think it's deraisa, but I think it's machzik kabayin. I think it's mamish and it's a derabanan. It's a machzik kabayin. It'll be derabanan, nafkamina, yedekay, nafkamina, a million things, right? But it's not going to be deraisa. What do you say? What case? Gishmak. And he kept it there every Shabbos. So Gishmak case. That the guy of the shul, he was trying, where's he going to keep the keys? He can't carry, there's no way. Where's he going to do with the keys? And all you need is that every Anshel, Dick, and Harry is going to have the keys, right? That's all you need. Every one of them, everybody's going to put the keys and dust. Fragnish, right? So he found a tile that was loose, or he loosened it, whatever. What? Oh, right. Those fake, yeah, I got what you say. Right. Those roofs, what are those called? Not drop ceilings. All the roofs in all the basement drashim now, they have. No, they're not fake. They're like, I think by us it's like that. Upstairs is like that or no? Not like that, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. So you have those ceilings over there, and very good, you're right. Very good, I forgot about that case. And he puts the keys in there. How does he get all the way up there? It wasn't so high, I guess. Right? Okay, so he climbs on there, and it's like that. It's all the way up there, right? And he puts the keys in there. It's the easiest thing to lift it out and to whatever, right? It's the easiest thing, but that's zikr not made to go in and out. That's a gewaltige case. What? Even if he goes in and out, that's what this new chiddush is. That when something doesn't look like it, yesterday we spoke about Pekach. Maybe I should have let you breathe, but this is a whole new shiur. Yesterday we spoke about things that look like doors and whatever. There are clearly some type of differences between that and the wall. But these are things that are lahedja, look exactly like the wall. And that the Mishnah Berurah seems to say, even if you go in and out all the time, that's machzik bayna, that's a nisa d'rabbanan. What do you say? Sorry? After today, but it's not true. No, I don't know. Wait, by show of hands, who would think that just remains there all the time? I think so. I think it remains there the whole time. Right? The reason they make it like that is because there's all wiring and whatever, so it makes it easy to get in there, whatever. But that's what I would think. Right? I gotta just realize as I'm talking to the Olam now, that a lot of the air conditioning vents, they have the square one. I'm talking about not the air conditioning there, but you have a square thing. Those things are zikr not made to be opened all the time. So anyways, you don't have this. So even if you say it's clear, distinct that it's made to be open and closed, but it's not done every 30 days, what? So what are we going to have? It's going to be a problem. It's a problem. It's mamish a problem. That's it's an easy access to get out the filter, but about that's a baina. That would be a gomer on Shabbos to take off. What is that? The rice? Maybe. What? That's hard. Let's try and get through what's easy first, and then mitzvah Shabbat. That's a good question. What exactly makes it deraisa? But that's what's going on here, Rabbi. If I had to go backwards, Sif Gimel, for example, right? I want to get to a bunch of cases, but let me just give you what I have. And Sif Gimel talks about this again. The cases of the Shulchan Aruch are not as they're not negaya. We don't know what they're talking about. We just have to take what they're talking about. You don't go in and out all the time. Shiur says, what does it mean you don't go in and out all the time? Shiur says, maybe like we said, once in 30 days. So it depends. If it's hanging, if it's not hanging, all types of rules. And then to make this practical, look at the Shiur says, got in Chavtes. He says, "V'nei miloshen mechaber mashma kapanim yidi tied from the Agah and Sif Dalid, mattress v'yalei dafilu ain't a kosher." So these are cases, again, I have to figure out cases to make it practical. But when you have a door that at least somewhat looks like a door, someone was asking me yesterday, he has an attic door. Who was it? Someone was asking me yesterday about an attic. Who was asking? What was the tzura of the attic? Let's don. Each case we have to don. You see that it is clearly a distinct thing. You see what it is? There's a handle or something, right? Right. Wait, the board you take off and just comes off a gamre? Yeah. It's a little bit scary. What, the board you just take off the gamre? Yeah. And then wait, it's one on top of the other? Right? Yeah. Oh, that's it. But what's two then? Oh, no. There's another entrance down the hole. That's pretty scary. That sounds pretty bad. It's just like a board and somebody walking by, what does he think it is? The guy in the bedroom. You can see it's something. I don't know what it is. If you don't know, it could be it's there. Maybe it's behind there. It's first wife, something, whatever. Right? What? It's hard to take out. It's like a matzah. The kids are behind there. Yeah, bad children. Whatever. I got the kids are. What? No, that's totally different. No. Mom's not. No. The kids are. Wait. Rabbi side. So that's very serious. I wouldn't let you open that thing on Shabbos. It's probably also not something you're opening up all the time anyways. So it might be a delis almana, number one. And even if it's not a delis almana, It's which even within 30 days we're not going to be makel. But even this thing, it's anyways not something you open up within 30 days. Sounds like it's pretty gefährlich. That's how you'd have to don these shilas. Now, what? No, so if they come down mamish and it's attached, if it's anything that's attached, it's not any shaila. No shaila. Once it's attached, it has its sear. There's no shaila. I know somebody that has. I have something interesting. I think about it. Well, I gotta have something interesting. Tell me what you guys think about this. I just realized now. I have something that you click it up. It's a square. You see it when you in my house. It's like a square. You click it up, and it comes down, and it hangs on these. They look like tris strings. It's like the invention of some Shiva dropout or something. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you click it out like this, and then it'll hang like that. What? No, the purpose is now you can get into like the air conditioning vent and stuff. So that's okay. I mean, what? No, but here it's still attached. I'm saying it's kosher. It's kosher. Yeah. The only thing is, I got you could just click off those, but to click off those things, they have like like on a knapsack. Like you just click them into place. They have one click there and one click there. He was a good guy that got kicked out of yeshiva. I'm saying it wasn't like a shvacha guy. So to click all those off and to take it off, Mistama. It's a drabanan. I'm not sure if you chayv misa. Maybe chayv misa. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure, but let's use the. Just give me one moment. Just give me one moment. Now there's two or three more things. When you go back in the Siman, look in the beginning in Shulchan Aruch Siman Shin Gimel Sif Aleph. He talks about this case of now. The next case. Let me go through a few of the cases here before I get to our normal cases. I guess he goes through another case here of a kana. Okay, what's this? The kana, these are all Gemaras in Erevin. The kana, it's like 3 lines in, right? He says, the kana, right by Sivkat in Dalad and Mishabura, the kana, sheskino li'ais noyal by, ain't sarf shekivena bedelt. Now, this is a new thing. The Gemara has this thing over here about a kana, they would take like a piece of wood, and that they would lock the door. It would like have, they would hang on this side, and you would just, lock in the door. For some reason, this thing, it's hard to understand. This thing also looks like baina. So the kana is only going to be allowed if if you had, you placed it aside, I guess, Erev Shabbos, this thing is worse. It's not enough shava. You have to actually do something. Rashi says you have to make it right for a different kli. Tosfos says, Rabbi says that no, it's enough that you did a maisa to it. What's this thing? What is this? Mishabura says in Zivkat and Zion, Leis at Tzarech, it could be make already. Basically, it seems to be that this thing was like some type of a tzura, which looked like you were mamish connecting the door to the ground or something. It's hard to tell. I saw that the Chotshani, Reb Nissen, in the 247th page in Chelik Beis, he tries to find something to be medameh to, and even that he says it's not doima. He says maybe you can medameh to like the moit, the stecken inside the Aron HaKodesh. They used to be in the old days. Nowadays they have chains and fancy things that make the Sifrei Torah that they shouldn't fall out. But in the old days they used to put like a stick there. Used to put a stick there. Sorry? Which crusher? No, but it's no Mishkan right now. I'm talking about in the halacha. I'm saying, but what do you have now? The Maisa, halacha the Maisa. What do we have? What? What's a deraisa? This is not a deraisa. What? No, but there's a door there. It's clear that it's meant to be opened. I was thinking this is related to you. Rabbi Moyle makes a friend that has a sukkah that makes the whole entire sukkah is made out of doors. You know those interesting sukkah, so he makes a whole sukkah out of doors, and so the door closes. But so how do you close the door? It's like door, and it has like things that what are those things? You know what I mean? Bolt that goes in or whatever, right? So that sukkah, somebody like opens up just too many doors, right? So what's that? Is that called boina? I don't know. Okay, so 1 second. He talks about a case of a moit. And he says, nah, that's not what Chazal are talking about here. I'm just showing you, it's going to be very difficult to apply this. He said, that's not what Chazal are talking about. That thing is exact fit into the Aron HaKodesh. And then he writes something which is a little bit mysterious. He says, it looks like it belongs, and it's not an exact fit, even though he said it does fit. And then he said, but it doesn't really fit. So therefore, you can't say it becomes a part of the structure. It's not really tight, but it's clearly made to be there. So therefore, it's clearly made to come in and clearly made to come out. So therefore, it doesn't become, nobody sees the mite as becoming a part of the structure. I don't fully understand this halacha because if I put that stick there, I'm breaking the door. The case of the Chazal, I have a hard time understanding, right? If I put the stick there, I'm breaking the door. I'm making the door not usable. So why is it Mechsi Kabaina? What? But everybody wants to have an entrance and an exit, right? So what's the answer? The answer is not such a kasha. Ich admire to apply this case because I don't fully understand the case of Chazal. I didn't see any akron that really applies it. So I'm not gonna apply this case. I don't fully understand what the Zushtel is. What? I don't hear, it doesn't understand my problem. The Gemara talks about a case where you put some stick, you block the door, now no one can open the door. And the Gemara says that's like doing a Labinian, and there's all types of rules, right? I don't know what the Tuchtal of the case is. The only case that Rav Nissen could find was a case of a stick inside the Arna Kodesh, which he says that comes in and out. And he says, and that is clearly made for the purpose of blocking the Sifrei Torah. And second of all, it's not exactly tight that you see it as like a real blocking. I don't know. I couldn't find a case that I could medama this to. Well, that I'm getting to. That's the next halacha. Now, there's a word here in Shulchan Aruch that I'm afraid to pronounce, so I'll just spell it. Nun Gimel Reish. I'm afraid to. I don't know, today with the internet and thus, you can get in trouble. So we'll just call it like an African American. I don't know. I'm afraid to pronounce this. But this thing is noel boy b'toich v'noisay b'spukul mata. Now this thing, I don't know what this thing is, right? But it seems to be this already. We might be able to apply. This thing the Gemara talks about that there's some type of a door, and they used to take like a peg. I call it a peg. We'll keep with the English word from this point on, but a peg, and this peg would go into the ground, and this is much worse. Now you're like mamish attaching the door to the ground with a peg. Now everyone's trying to figure out what this is. It seems to be it's much more chamer. That's a yosid shenoilim bay, and this is serious. It really looks like binyan, and then you need mamish that it should be tied to the wall or something. You got to be aggressive on this. Right? Now, first of all, just what's negay us is the reasons. First of all, the Mishabur and Sivkat Yud Aleph says, why is this thing worse? He says, because it looks like a nail. Interesting. He says the thing looks like a nail. This peg looks like a nail. That's one thing. I saw in the garage, he says, yeah, because you're going into the ground and whatever. It looks like you're building here. Something like that. That's what the Baal Tanya says. But then what's negay us is like this. The Mishabur and Sivkat and Chav Beis, so he talks about some whole case over here. He says like this. He says, Ubezet nicha. Roiv habate, many houses have holes on the bottom of the floor where the door goes in, and they put a bariach there. And we don't say it's baina. Why? This is what's the most important for us. He says, Mali nichnas b'chaim alamata, it's nasa mitchila lekach nekovim al kein ein iser. This is what we want. He's trying to tell us that if you have holes there that are made to place a peg in, so then avada, no one sees that as a binyan. What's this negaya? The Rav Bariach doors, right? You know the doors that the people have. What? This one's a Rav Bariach door. So the peg goes in. The truth is, so I saw one sefer. He says it's a first Mishnah Berurah that it's mutter. Why? Because this Mishnah Berurah. Because you see that there's a hole on the floor, and the peg goes into the floor, and it was made to go into the floor. Maisa, it's not negaya. The reason it's mutter is because this has nothing to do with the sugya. This is a part of the wall, the door. It's no shaykhs. I don't understand the whole entire shayla. This thing is mutter gomer. There's no shaykhs. Go out of the Rav Bariach door. Sometimes in that little hole, you can get things stuck, right? You know, like what do you get stuck in there, for example? So sometimes, one second. So sometimes you get it stuck in there, just like dirt build up, and you can't lock the door. Stomach to take that out on Shabbos is a very serious shayla. Very serious shayla, right? I won't say who maybe did it, but I see from your reaction that maybe you have to make a goymel. Right? But you understand what I'm saying? When you take that out, what are you doing? You're fixing the karka, and that became one with the karka. That's a very serious shaila. The shaila is what Rabbi Cooper you just said. I mean, that's exactly the marble. Sometimes a marble gets in there, right? A marble gets in there. I don't know. Is a marble become one with the karka, and then you really can't lock it? What? 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 I thought the car is so not. I also thought so. I don't know. I also thought so. I don't think it becomes one. I mean, to get it out, you need the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's not so easy, right? But it's got in there for a reason, right? But Akapanim, this brings us to the last child before I go into cases. The last child I could think would be Nagar is Mishabur says a big side. Everybody say. Mishabur says if you have something which is made for the purpose of putting in this non gimel reish inside the peg, right? If you have something made for that purpose, number one, and number two, it's like Abijus Lashon. He says, it's something that they make something on this peg, which shows you clearly that it's not like a nail. It's meant to come in and out. So it's just, I'm going to ask the question. This is talking again. This is again. And then from this point, we'll start down in cases. This is again. The case is like this. A lot of people have sliding doors. Sometimes, how are you going to keep the sliding door closed? You want to keep the sliding door closed. Why do I keep it? Because the bad guys, you don't want them coming in. You know, you want to go to sleep and you want the bad guys shouldn't come in. And those locks on those sliding doors, they break within a half an hour. Right? They don't even they're broken. There's no chance, right? So now what do? So you take a 2x4, a karash, a piece of wood, and you put it on the floor in the track. And now you can't open the door. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about, right? You have the sliding door like this. You put a piece of wood over here like that. And if I had to don the one Megay Shaila, which you'd actually have to don, that would be the Shaila. This thing, the Chayra, this could be a problem. This could be a problem. What? Sorry? Wait, slowly. What? Yeah. What? They have ones that are made with it. That's attached to Mamish? No, it's attached. It says a different shoes. I'm talking, there it's attached. No, that's attached. If it's attached, there's no shaila. I'm talking about where he has a 2x4 and he puts it there and he closes the door with that. He locks the door with that. What? Sorry? Wait, slow. Let me at least down the shaila first. The Chazal said that if you take a nun gimel reish and you put it in, and a nun gimel reish is something that has no tzura to it, right? It has no beis achiza and whatever, and you put it in the ground. So this thing looks more like building. Rashi says Mishabura says it looks more like building because Mishabura says it's like a nail. Like that you don't really have over here, but it definitely looks like something you build with, right? It's a 2x4. And the Gra says because you're in the ground. So the Mishabura gave us Kallus. Mishabura told us that if the track was made specifically for that purpose, this track wasn't made for that purpose. This track was made for the ability to slide the door or whatever back and forth. Right? And then the Mishabura says, he says, or if you made something to show that it's, you made a like a handle in it or something, you did something to it to show that it's going to be taken in and taken out or whatever. So what happens? The first Shabbos, there you are, and you realize, the door is broken. Right? The lock is broken and you're afraid to go to sleep because the bad guys are going to come in and whatever. So what do? So you have over there a 2x4 and you want to put it in. Now nobody can get it. Nobody get it. So, okay, but the 2x4 is muksa anyway, so what's nafkamina, right? So you say this, so muksa, kefinsa chayitza. What are you going to do with the muksa? You'll kick the muksa. You have a 2x4 there. You'll kick it right into the place. So muksa mekefinsa chayitza. But what about baina? What about baina? This is baina. This is baina. Even Rabbeinu Tam said, that even me, says Rabbeinu Tam, that it doesn't have to be a kli somewhere else. Rabbeinu Tam holds it doesn't have to be a shame of a kli for something else. But Rabbeinu Tam says you have to, what's Rabbeinu Tam, he says here, it has to be you did a maisa to it. You had to maybe paint it or something, or you have to make it like, you scratch out something that you'll be able to pick it up or something. But but it's time to take a 2x4, even according to Rabbeinu Tam, is not enough, even if you did it before Shabbos.
Because that size exactly.
I think you just made it worse. I think he just made it worse, right? The Shkoil just made it worse, right? He says, let's say it's the exact size. Then for sure we have our problem. Bishlama, if it, sometimes the guy says, mamish perfect fits. One moment. Sometimes it mamish perfect fits. The guy says, mamish perfect fits. That's keferlich. That's our shaila. If it doesn't fit, and it's like off by centimeter or something, okay, so then it comes in and out. You can't say that's becoming a tsura of binyan in the karka. It just comes right in and out. It's not just a moment. It's something that comes in and out. So then that's where I learned from the Missing Karel. It's also that type of idea. It comes in and out. You don't see it. The whole idea of this nun gimel reish and this whole all these other things are things that they become like very strong, connected. Not because boina in karka requires strong. But these Mexican binyans, like they require some, like you described your case before, it mamish fits in there and it's hard to get out and whatever. So then that becomes now the wall. That's a doim binyan. But let's say, so if it would not fit, I wouldn't be as bothered. But I know that there are cases where mamish fits perfect, and that if I care, Erev Shabbos, he cut it to that size. Okay, he cut it to that size, but you can't say that was maybe you have Rabbeinu Tam. It was mesukin lekach. Rabbeinu Tam ain't tzarich right. Kevin shetiknei vasoi by ma'isa ve'kechinuk. Okay, the fee Rabbeinu Tam is not so bad because you cut it exactly to that size. But even Rabbeinu Tam is not lechatchila. Mishabura says you can only be samich on Rabbeinu Tam b'shas tzchak. I guess this would be a shas tzchak. He doesn't say shas tzchak. Esad tzarich. Okay, but it's not gevaldik. And if the person would ask me in that situation, I'd probably tell him take a broom or something that clearly is the kli and clearly is distinct, that it's not becoming a one with the karka. That's what I would have thought. But I'm seeing from the oilim that the oilim, some of the oilim disagrees. You think that what? It's mutter? Why is it mutter? No. I mean, they make it like that. They also make the nun gemarashas like that. What is it? They make them like that. What's the difference? They make everything like that. What? Why? It's in the track. It's in the track. It is in the ground. That's the ground. I thought it's in the ground. No, the track is the ground. That's the ground. Of course it's the ground. Why not? The track is the ground. The track. Wait, so slow. Sorry. But say, in my house, the one I'm thinking of is I think most of you have it like me. You have all the sponge water goes into the track. There's a reason why, because it's in the ground. It's in the ground. Right? It's in the ground. I thought it's in the ground. That's called ground. It's not like, oh, maybe if it's above ground, we could talk. But it's not above ground. It's not true. Otherwise, if that would happen, then you'd have whoops, right? Every time you'd slip and trip. That's why it's not like. Well, yeah, okay, that I hear. The only thing is, it was much easier. It was muksa. You needed to kick it in there, right? Let's say it's happened on Shabbos. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? It's not above the ground. Wow. I don't know, you guys. I'm talking about the one that's not above the ground. Say the one at my house is not above the ground. I think most of the people, it's not above the ground. If it's above the ground, derech hagav, you can ask for your money back. Because every time, whoop, like that, right? Sorry? Okay, so then you get involved in Rabbeinu Tam, that maybe if they make a bar for that purpose, they're mesukin lekach and has a tzura probably also, right? It's something distinct and clear. Okay, but it looks like it fits. It obviously fits or something. Okay, say that I can hear. Doesn't mesukin lekach. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where it's not a metal bar that was mesukin lekach. This is mamish, something that, I don't know, I think it has its surah. I think it has its surah. I'll just read you the Mishabura and then we'll go weiter. Mishabura Zivka Base says, Bezeh nicha, that in most houses, they have holes, b'choima, eitzel adelis mikan mikan, v'toich v'in abariach, they put inside. Why is it allowed? And it's not doim l'bayna. Demali nichnas b'choima, ela mishum nase mitchilo lekach. It was made for this purpose. This track was not made for this purpose. Very nira, that the tabas has on it a whole tzura. It's got a whole, he says a tabas and whatever. It's got a whole ring on it that you pick it up with. I think the one you're talking about also probably has some type of ring that you can pick it up. But my piece of wood, a shtick holtz, is das, fits into the ground, and maybe does go by the opinion. Now, if it doesn't really fit, like I mentioned before, then I hear a lot of times it doesn't fit. It's just like you open it and it's going to like move, but it's not going to be able to open. So then I hear that would be mutter. Or if you actually did some ma'isa before Shabbos and made a tzur on it, or I don't know what. Okay, so then I hear. Then we could talk. But Mashain Kain, if the Mitzvah says is that it fits in perfect, fakir. If you cut it and fit it perfect, so then maybe according to Rabbeinu Tam, that's good because you did a ma'isa. I don't like that. I don't know, but it's not. I don't think this is great. What? A broomstick is gewaldig because that's a kli. It's a clear, distinct kli. If you take something else and you put it there, it's a distinct kli. It's something that clearly doesn't have a doimel opinion because it's a kli. And once it's a kli, it's not something that looks like it's a part of the binyan. So this is adkan. What should you do to the wood? Preferably if you would make something like a ring or something like the case of Mishabur, you could just like pick it up with. That's what I would do. To make something that shows that that you're going to take it in and out. That's it, right? That was mamish nageh. Otherwise, it's a big simcha. We found the case, right? Well, what Moshe have done? If this Shabbos, he would have made one, right? If it was for Shabbos, to make sure that he has one for Shabbos, even though he doesn't have that door. I was in his apartment, right? But we need one. What do you want to ask? Is it? Okay. Right. So let's get cases. Okay, case number one. Okay, so again, some of the cases we spoke about already, but just now to be masader, I definitely think the Boyden case is a problem, 100%. The Boyden case and the safe case and the case of the tile, that's for sure a problem. I'm not that's a clear problem. Okay, that's number one. Number two is a plug. This is a very big case. to take a plug and unplug it from the wall. Whereas in the Geya, obviously, if you unplug, anyways, big problems with electricity. Okay, so right, a case. Let's say you have a case where, what? Yeah, the electricity in the house went off. I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you a good example. The electricity in the house goes off. This is in the olden days. Now, all right, what was your case? Because my case is a little bit complicated. What? No, that'll talk about in a moment. Let me talk about the case of real plugs for a second. What? No, but why do I want to take out the plug? What? Okay, one case is you can have a wire that's there and people can trip on it. You have a fan and there's a wire there and it's bothering people and the fan is off because the Shabbos clock took, or stop, it's off because you didn't turn it on this Shabbos, right? You mean why don't just move it over there? Okay, whatever. The kids are, let's say, or another case is, what? Why you take a pair to go out? Because you're afraid the water is going to go on the plug. Okay, right, very good. You can have a case where the water is dripping on the plug. And nobody wants that. It's no good, right? So just don't, the air conditioning is off now. So you just take out the plug so that it doesn't go get. Okay, Elamai, maybe you're worried about muksa. Okay, so first of all, you can just take it out with your foot or whatever. Is it a klitsch nachtal? Yes, also, it might be migu just katsoy. Maybe it was there plugged in when Shabbos came in. And maybe, if you'd have, okay, whatever. A case I remember once was a case like this, that there was the electricity went out, right? It wasn't in my house, but the electricity went out. And somebody came to me and he said, the electricity went out. He said that this happens to him a lot of times. He said, then it just goes back. I don't know if that's from the, sometimes it's from the country, from whatever. Sometimes, whatever. It wasn't dining on the Shaila Mitzad, the Melachas Shabbos. He said, sometimes it goes out and it goes, he said like this. He said, when it goes on again, he said it's usually the problem with the hot plate. It's probably good to get a new hot plate, right? But he said it's usually a problem with the hot plate. It goes off for like 10 minutes and whatever, and then it goes back on. He said, but then it's going to short again the house. That was one type of a mitzias or something. Another case, just simple. A lot of times the electricity itself just goes out or could go out, whatever. And you have one thing that when it's going to go back on, pops. You have to do something first. There's all types of zaken like this, right? So you want to take out that thing before the electricity goes on, okay? So are you allowed to take it out? Allowed to take it out. It's a mamish to get. Right? Fridge. Where can you have a case of fridge? Oh, so very good. So you have a case like this. You have a case, Erev Shabbos, you realize, oh, Gewalt, she forgot to turn off the light. Right? Right? Okay. Remember, when are we mevater? Okay. So only when we are. Right. Okay. So anyways, right. So she forgot to turn off the light. Right, so now, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? So now, your fridge. I don't want to get involved. This is only going to work in the old fridges. In the new fridges, there's 32,000 Chilulei Shabbos every time you look at them. I'm not, but in the olden fridges, so the pshat is when the motor was on, the fridge was on. If you pull out the plug, they pull your plug, right? If the fridge is off, if the motor's off, if you hear no motor, so then the fridge is off, right? So this is the olden days. So you didn't turn the light. I remember when I first got married, this happened. She forgot to turn off the light. She got the turn off the light, right? And so I didn't know what to do. So I asked somebody in shul, and they seemed to be a very big Talmud Chacham. And he went to the Svarim shack and he opened up Svarim and everything. And then he says, "No, I didn't know. I just looked. I'm American bacher. I came from like give me a beard and boom, I found out afterward all the Chassidim have beards. But anyways, the kids he told me, looked around and he said that when the fridge is off, this is what he told me. This is 20,000 years ago, right? He told me that when the fridge is off, listen by the motor, and when the fridge is off, so now you know that the whole entire system is off, which is probably true in the fridges from 25 years ago, whatever. And the system is off, and then you'll pull out the plug. He told me pull it out with my teeth and my ears and whatever. And then you pull it out, and then, so the rest of Shabbos, you won't have a fridge. But listen, at least you'll have the grape juice and the wine, you'll have all the food for Shabbos. It's good. That's what he told me to do. As I came home, I told my wife, he said that you should go to the fridge and you should pull it out with your teeth and whatever. Okay, now I must tell you, Stam, that today's fridge is mamish. It's not like that. It's no shaykhs. So don't do this psak today unless you have a very old fridge, and that's an Androsh. But that's a Gavaldic case. Are you allowed to do that? So let's then. Kafiyar Sugya, what would you say? So this Shaila Reb Nissen talks about in the 243rd page in Chadshani, And he says, no, Vada, that's a problem. That's a problem. He says that klape our sugya is the plug is in the wall and it's a bittel to the wall and it's like a pkak chaloin. I don't even have a kasha. I don't begin to understand it. It's kasha v'tali to this kli. So what's the only, let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Something like a fan, I mamish don't hear. That's something that you plug it in here, you plug it in there, you plug it in everywhere. No one sees it as being a chelik of the karka at all. It's not at all chelik karka. The whole point is that it's on a plug and it's not attached. It goes from place to place. Ein lecha davar that is not attached, it's called the mizais. It's the most non-pkak chaloin in the world. And it's also oimid to be removed tadir and don't understand it. On most appliances and things like that, I don't say the hot plate, I for sure wouldn't understand it, right? You know that the electricity went off. And let's say the electricity went off in the house or something like that, right? And you know the electricity is going to go back on, but you say, look, well, I don't need the hot plate on, so it's going to make the house hot, so can I take it out? Okay, and with a shinoi, you'll take it out with your ears or whatever, something like that, right? So a hot plate is not something that is there all the time. It's meant to be taken in and out. Ein lecha davar that doesn't have a tzura connected to the karka, yoiser gadol mizais. Nothing I could think of that's more non-pkak chalan than this. I don't know. But the fridge is the one that maybe you could down. That's the one that I actually did, or she did, or whatever, right? The one that actually is negeya, because the light's off. That one, yesh ladin, because that plug, you take just the fridge plug, you just plug in forever and ever and ever and ever, right? You never take out the fridge plug, and it's always plugged into the exact place of the fridge, and that's it, right? So that is interesting. There you have something that mit'ala pkak chaloin and all this, this is already difficult, this one, no? Because just one moment, because here the Mishpura says, where is that bi'alacha? Where it brings the Taisa Shabbos? He says, also the karnas v'pachas midamid yaim. So this is definitely meant to be for a long time, but it's definitely meant to be more than 30 days. But now maybe we have the rules of pkak chaloin. Is this considered? How do you do the surah? It's surah is meant to have a surah. It's meant to have a surah that it's not connected to the ground. And this I find hard a little bit. The Olam thinks which way? Excuse me? Wait, so what's the shot? What's your, what? I mean, it's attached to but maybe that's like a kliya oimid l'shtamish with the karka. Maybe that something becomes a chelik of the karka. What? The fridge itself is 40 sa, which might have a din of karka itself. It's like karka. I know it's not that karka, but I'm not 100% sure that done this. I must tell you. What? Yeah. But you're never going to move the plug to anywhere else. What? Right. No, these ones, there's really nothing else you can do except for keep it there. Yeah, like this air conditioning, right? Yeah, this is a very good example. This could be Nagan Shabbos. This air conditioning goes off, and let's say Friday night, they had the air conditioning going, freezing cold. And in the morning, Shabbos, they find out it's not going to be so hot outside, it's going to be cold, and they know this room is going to be freezing, and the guy, who complains about the air conditioning is louder than the guy who doesn't. God, he's not here, he's over there. So, he's over there. So now you say, look, it's Friday night, it's after shul, I'll just take out the air conditioning. I'll just take out the plug. How are you going to take it out? It's maybe, is that called gomer b'de'al? No, because it's going to go off soon. I don't know. Okay, so take it out with your teeth. This one's going to be very hard to take out with your teeth. You have to have like dentures for this thing. But you'll take it out with your teeth. You'll figure out a way. Take it out. It's very together. How much together? But it's off. Once it's off. That's what I'm saying. Today's fridges is not a gay of this because, like I said before, there's a red light on my check today. I have some plug that's attached to a plug, which partially has some red light on it and whatever like that. I don't know. If you take a plug and put it in there, it's not doing anything. So you might get a shock or something, but I don't think you should put your fingers there. But don't go there after a shower. But it's not halachically a problem. It's not halachically. What about this? What did everybody say? This is mamish surah. It becomes mamish attached to the karka, and it's made to be a part of the karka. It's a special socket which doesn't fit anything else. I don't know. I'd be scared about this. I'd be very scared about this. No, I don't know. I'd be scared about this. This is 50 times worse because the air conditioning is attached to the ground also, right? The actual air conditioning is attached to the ground, though. Let's be masader. A regular fan, I could hear is mutter. This is vada yasser. The fridge is something I'm not sure about. It has like its own place. It has its own. The fridge has it. Sorry. That's true. No, because that's on hinges. It's attached. What do you mean? I mean, now it's attached to the ground. So what are you doing? You're just, it's already attached to the ground. So maybe it's not even worse. It's very schwer. I don't know. All right, let me think about it. I didn't plan on talking about this during the shiur. Let me think about this. It's not so pasha to me. But the fridge, I don't know. I'm not to the fridge is mutter. I must tell you the truth. I'm not to the fridge is mutter because my Natiya feels that the fridge is something that no one sees this as becoming a chelik of the karka. I don't know. The old fridges, but I'm not talking. Obviously, I'm saying when there's no electricity. I'm talking in a case where there's no electricity. I'm just saying it's not the chefza of moisef. Okay, that's one case I must tell you. Not so clear to me. If I had to say, I would think it is mutter. I would think the fridge is mutter. This case, I hear now that maybe interesting. Rabbi Ibn, you're telling that this is better because it is attached. So what are you doing? You're attaching it in another. I'm not sure. What is that? You're attaching it, something that's attached to the karka that you're attaching somewhere else to the karka. I'm not sure to don it. So you have to don. It's not something I'd want to don during a shiur. It's interesting, Shaila. Next Shaila. This is an interesting case. On Sukkot, this year I had this Shaila. I had which I think is mamash. It could definitely be a negay Shaila. I mean, I had it, so it must be negay. I have outside a hose. I have outside like a berez, faucet, whatever, not faucet, what's called, that's like a tap or whatever, right? Now, the way you use that tap is you attach it to, you don't have to attach it, you can just whatever. And before Yom Tif, I planned on, attaching a hose to it. And then I could use it for Netilas Yadayim by the sukkah. The sukkah was right there. So I used it for Netilas Yadayim, but I got it before Yom Tif. I forgot to attach a hose. I forgot to attach like an outside hose, So now what am I going to do? I'm going to wash over there. You don't want to wash over there because it's right by the trees and everything. So that's a big shayla. You're washing on the trees and the water is going to spritz. It's psikration and everything. So it's even maybe a shayla of nichalek because you want it to be water there. It's in the summer, so the trees don't get water or whatever. It's in the fall, so you know what I mean. So I wanted to know, can I attach a hose? Can I attach a hose on Yom Tov? Is there any problem? It just like screws right on, screws right off. Is there any problem? Right? I think that would be probably Issa Deraisa Gomer. But not because the screwing in is not something which Klape Boyne Bakarka makes much of a difference to me. When a person puts a hose in, first of all, it's not even a real screw. You know what I'm talking about? It's not like you put the thing in, and then you have to put in that like orange one. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's always orange, right? You know what I'm talking about? What? I think it's a normal thing to leave a hose on, even if you would unscrew it every day. I think it would be an issue. I'm not. It might even be deraisa. I'm not that's deraisa because the ganze tzura is something that you remain. It's true they made an easy access to get in and out. So when the hose rips, you can buy another one or whatever, right? But I think it's a gomer. Zikr and issa derabana, maybe even issa deraisa. I saw the Rebelsky. Taka says this case, and it's interesting. I'm not sure what case Rebelsky's talking about. I must admit, I think he's talking about like a hose on a spout of a regular sink in the kitchen. And in that case, does anybody see this? I'm talking about they have those like, not the screw-on extensions. Sometimes they have like a hose there that you put on, what? But I'm saying something, no, not a hose that you fill. No, so one second. Let's say you would take a hose and attach it to your sink. Right? That whole surah is so not, I don't even think it would work. Is there any way it would work? Or? That already I can hear you could talk about that maybe that concept surah is it surah. What? Right, it's pretty much the surah is pretty burr that it's not going to remain. I don't know. But anyways, he talks about some case that they have like these hoses that you put onto the faucet. Everyone knows what I'm talking about? It's like on a faucet, and it has like a little, not a hose, a proper hose, right? Like a small thing that comes out. And that's also, it's a gummer, because those things remain, even if you plan on taking it off. But that thing is definitely, it's at least a delis almana, and it might be even worse. A strainer. Okay, a strainer is meant to be taken in and out. Right? There's no problem of boyer on a strainer because it's psalos and psalos. But a strainer is made to be taken in and out. So fine, so there you can take in and out of the sink. That doesn't become a one with the sink. What? A strainer in the sink. The drain, like a drain. A light bulb. Where's the gear? Somebody had a Shiloh once. That's what I was going to get. Where's it going to get? A light bulb. You're not going to go and start taking out a light bulb on Shabbos, right? What? Why? Okay. Right. Why would you take it out? I mean, it's what? Oh, so I'll tell you a case like this. I had it in my house. When I was doing the Zoom originally, like a year and a half ago, when it's like the first time. So I was trying to get the lighting. Now I just gave up, but I was trying to figure out the lighting and everything. So I had two fluorescents in my room. Still today, I have two fluorescents in my room. So what I would do is like this. And lighting I thought was too strong. So what I did was I undid one of the fluorescent lighting. I would always undo one of them, right? And the other one would stay. Okay? And then that's how I give the shiur. Erev Shabbos, I'm one of those parsha shiurim. I was giving the parsha shiurim, and then that's what I would always do. I would always, go undo it so that one of them would go off, and then I would go right back and put it back, right? Okay. Erev Shabbos, I didn't do it, and on Shabbos, so one of my children was in the room and said to me, "The light looks like it's about to fall." It does look like it's about to fall because it's like the fluorescent is like that, but and I got a little nervous that it would actually fall. I got a little nervous that it would actually fall. Could I just take it out? Okay, you have one problem, it's muksa and it's chazar and kiss. Because a fluorescent light is something you're extremely careful with, it's delicate. So it's a problem of chazar and kiss. So it's not practical, and the whole question is really not so practical because it's hard to take it out with your teeth. Fluorescent lights with teeth are very difficult. I know, Chamshi, you could, right? But for everybody else, it is difficult, right? So I don't know. Let's say, how could you get out of the problem of the books? I don't know. Is there what? Tilt them in a tzad. I was thinking that also. You'll just you'll hold what? Yeah, but how am I going to do even a tilt them in a tzad? I couldn't even think and then I'm going to have a bittul kli mechanoi because it's going to have to fall onto something, right? I have to make it fall onto something. I don't know. It's hard. I don't think it's going to be neged in books of Shiloh anyways. But I was just dying that is its attachment. It's the easiest thing in the world, but it's meant to be there for 6 months or years or I don't know, or whatever it is. And that is its attachment to the karka. That l'chayra is boinem deraisa mamash. Right now it's not attached in the proper way. That's the part I'm not bar about. It's not attached now in the proper way, right? Somebody had a different Shiloh once. He came to me, he said the fluorescent light, he has the same idea. He has two fluorescent lights. He said one of them is flickering on and off. If he wants to take out the one which is flickering, it's driving me crazy. I told him, you're gonna turn off. He says, no, it flickers on and off, and then it goes off. He says he's been watching it. It'll go off for sure for 5 minutes for sure. And then it comes on and it flicks for like a minute, and then it goes off for 5 minutes. They tell me it happened like 3-4 times. It's a chazaka. You can kill based on chazakas and whatever, So he wants to know, can he take it out? That's l'chayr nisa deraisa. Take it out. L'chayr is nisa deraisa. Even though it's the easiest thing in the world to take out. L'chayr is nisa deraisa. And it's muksa also, right? What? He was like one of these like Israeli lamdan. He had migus and everything. I was like, with these faras, they're gonna burn you one day. It's like a migu and what? No, you're always very careful with because you don't want it to break and whatever. It's still a chasar and kes. You're still careful with it. It's something you're very careful with. So it's a chasar and kes. Manashach. It's either chasar and kes or it's useless. So it's a muksa machmas gufay. But manashach, it's no good. What? No, I gave in on the fact that he pushed me a lot. I gave in on the fact that it's not a problem mitzad that it's going to go off because he said 3 times he watched it for 5 straight minutes is no problem. And then it flickers for a minute, drives him crazy. And then for 5 minutes, that's what he's been doing for the last 20 minutes, right? He knows the whole mahalach of his fluorescent light. He hasn't learned in 20 minutes, the poor guy. That's not what bothers me. What bothers me is that, first of all, muksa. Second of all, when you take it out, that's mamish soiser b'karka, right? I'm showing you, it's the easiest thing in the world to take that thing out. It's not connected at all, not cement, not anything. And that is a soiser deraisa, not an almana, not any of the Zachen does a Saisa Deraisa. I got a saw, sorry? Doesn't matter, but it was in there now. So now you're soiser. It's like anything that becomes a part of the karka that now is broken. A door that was a part of the karka, the broken pane in the window. So that was also a part of the karka. It's soiser in the karka. It was at one point the part of the karka. So Vada. What? What? No. So there. What do you want to do? There. What? That's a karka, right? That's a karka. Oh, it's plugged in. But plugged in, we saw it wasn't so scary. Wasn't so scary, but okay. All right. Maybe you can have a case. That's a good case. You're in the sukkah and it rains. And you know that in the morning, let's say, where do you have a case? Give me a case. Yeah, I got a case. For 2-day Yontif is a case, Friday, Shabbos. You have a case like this. The light in the sukkah is off during the day because you have on a Shabbos clock or something like that, right? And it's off in the, well, you want to go to sleep in the night, right? So like this. And then it was raining, and you know the sukkah light is going to go back on, right? So you want to unplug it because you're afraid that the water and the sukkah and the light, it's not a good shidduch. What? I'm sorry? Yeah, you're going to blow up the house. So you want to take off this light? We said that should be mutter because this type of plug is not something which is the normal. Okay, I would do it with my teeth or my wife's or whatever. Everyone gets what I'm saying, right? What happened? I don't understand what happened today. It goes so fast. I don't know, which I do. I have like 10 more cases left. We don't go through anything. That's going to be 12 cases we have left. All right. What? All right, the first 2 men. We've got to get to Binyamin Caleb. What happened? Well, because you started late. That's why, right? It's because he died in Mincha, not from our Kallus. That's why. No, that's all right. All right. Well, continue. Let me just say something on the parsha. All right. But everything was clear, right? Whatever little we did was clear, right? It was clear. Clear it is, no? It was clear or not? Rabbi Davis is clear or not? What? I want that. What happened today? All right. Can I say one more case? Because I'm so bothered. No, I saw in the Shalmi Nis, I told you that Reb Nissen has a Baina. Reb Nissen Kaplan's like, and he has a Baina. I told you can't get the Binyan section anymore. So I saw like this, in his Aron Pei Zayin, he brings down what he heard from the Shiur Shabbos Kehilchasa from Rav Neuver. And I just wonder if I'm not disagreeing with him, and we're just talking about different cases. He says over there that he asked the Shmir Shabbos Kehilchasa and about the baby gates that we spoke about. And he said that the Neuver, the Shmir Shabbos, told him that the baby gate is mutter. The baby gate is mutter, doesn't become one with the karka. And I said, not like that, because I just wonder if we're talking about 2 different baby gates. My baby gate has a, it's a door, has like, you take it out and it stays there for a long time, and it's mamish machitza, and it can remain there. By me, it's been there I asked my wife today how long it's been there for. She said it's not screwed into the wall, but it's okay. Screwed is a different schmooze, whatever. That's the biggest riot to me. That some of them are even screwed in. It's just like it's the biggest. Yeah, it's like wedged into the wall with the pressure, basically the pressure. And then there's a door that opens and closes, and you leave it there for mamich. I think that's for sure. Probably I don't know the rice. I don't know the bottom. I think it's zikr and moisel opinion. Mr. Brewer talked about when you had a mechitza, you attach to the top and attach to the bottom. That's the first year we gave on baina. And the Mr. Brewer said if it's flapping on the bottom, that's mutter. Even that the chazanish was machman. But if it doesn't flap on the top and the bottom, and it's something that remains, so I don't know if I'm arguing on him. I don't know if anyone can argue on what I'm saying. It's baruch Hashemish b'tzarayim. I wonder if maybe he's just talking about those old baby gates that when the kid's there, you put it up, and there's just so much you could hurdle over it all the time. So see, those things are clear. You're not going to leave them there. And I think that's all he means. I don't know. What? Sorry? I think his is just a gate without a door. I remember I used to have like this kind. They exist. Those ones I can agree that they're not there's no oneness with the karka. It's clear you're not going to leave it there from its. But the one that I'm talking about, does everybody know what I'm talking about? Right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? What? You have you wedge it in here, you wedge it there, and then there's a door that you open and close, like a gate, like a little gate. No. What? You didn't get the gear yet? What's going on? Well, they have them. You know what I'm talking about, right? All right. I don't know. I don't know if we're arguing, but all right. Let me get. Okay. So So the obvious, the obvious child is like, what does it say in the parsha about all this tragedy and all this stars? So something that's bothered me so many years about Rashi in the parsha. That's so many years has bothered me. We have an answer. There's a Rashi in Bechul Koisai. He goes on the pasuk in Perek Chavav and pasuk Chav Hey. It's a dreadful pasuk, dreadful. Ve'vesi aleichem cherev. There'll be sword, armies, nekemes, nekayim bris, nesaftem el areichem. You'll have to gather together in the cities, and what'll happen, because all the armies are coming and all the Rishayim are coming. So what's going to happen when you gather together in the cities? Shalachti dever. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent chas v'chalila magefa in the city. You're running away from the bad guys. So where do you run? You run to the city. What happens in the city? Magefa. So what then happens? V'nisatim b'yad oyev. And then you're going to go into the hand of the enemy. Something's interesting in the pasuk. That's what Rashi's bothered by. I'm running away from the enemy. So what do? So I run into the city. What happens in the city? Magefa. So then what happens after Magefa? So you should say, and then you'll die from the Magefa. What does it say? It says, v'nisatim b'yad oyev. And then you're going to get into the hands of the enemy. What's going on here? What's the Magefa in the middle? And what was the enemy? So Rashi comes to answer the kasha, Kedarka Shel Rashi. And Rashi says like this, Rashi brings a medrash, that Al Yidei Dever, because of the Magefa, what happened? They ran away from the enemies. And then where did they run? They ran to the city. They closed themselves in the city and there was a siege, vice versa. And now in the city was Dever. What happens when there's Dever? People die. So, fall into the hands of the enemies. Why? Because ein malinim es hameis b'Yerushalayim. Because you can't leave a nifter overnight in Yerushalayim. So if you can't leave a mace overnight in Yerushalayim, so what did they do? So they were moised nafsham to leave the city because they had to bury the mace. You can't bury it over there in Yerushalayim. So they had to leave the city. And now once they left the city, says Rashi, when they came out of the city, was there the bad guys, nitin b'yad oyev. And they were the bad guys, nitin b'yad oyev. Okay, so Maisa, that's the pshat in the pasuk. They were running away from the bad guys. And where did they run to the city? What happened in the city? What happened when there was Magefa? People died. What happened when people died? You had to bury them. But you know, Malin and Mace B'Yerushalayim. They couldn't leave a mace there. So what did they? No choice. They had to go bury the mace. They walked outside. There was the enemy. That's a pshat in the pasuk. It's like So I asked the question last year. I think it bothered me a lot, the kasha, something with Magefa. I thought maybe I would have some shot or whatever. Okay, I asked the kasha. Someone told me last year that Chaim Kanievsky asked this question. So this year I asked somebody the kasha, big Talmud Chacham. He told me, Rav Aaron Leib Shteiman asked the kasha. Rav Aaron Leib Shteiman asked the kasha. Does anybody have an answer? I asked. I said, no, Rav Aaron Leib asked the kasha. He doesn't know what he answered. Chaim asked the kasha. The biggest people asked the kasha. So this year I have an answer. It's not my answer. It's a sefer called the Nesivra File. I don't know who he is. Somebody pressed a couple of buttons. He was very bothered by my shaila, and he pressed a couple of buttons, and he found this question. And the person that answers is called the Nesivra File. It's like a sefer, Kanir and Chumash. And this sefer writes like this. He writes, Mamish Adavar Naira. He says, what happens? Klal Yisrael in the middle of this dreadful teichacha. This is in the middle. Obviously, they did Averis. And obviously they're getting their punishment. That's what happens when Klal Yisrael does Aveira, so they get a punishment. And that's the whole teichacha over here. That's what goes on. No, what happens when a Yid gets a punishment, when the Klal gets a punishment? So they realize, as Medav done tshuva, Kadosh Baruch Hu, no, Avada, the Rebbeinu Shalom is kulay toiv. He's not going to give an oynish if the Klal doesn't deserve it. Obviously, they did something wrong. So every person, even though he does Averis, we're talking about Yidden, we're talking about people that some good people, but they did Averis. So what happens? They get the message. There's a Toichacha, this Tsaris. They have this ganze siege going on. They have this ganze Dever going on, this ganze Magefa going on. So what happens? So they decide, got to do tshuva. The Yetzer Toiv comes to him and says, no, you got to do something. You got to, there's a mechazik zayin. You have to do something. You got to do a little tshuva. That's what the Yetzer Toiv says to the person. So now, but what happens? The Yetzer Hara, he sits there and he gets really nervous because it's terrible. If he does tshuva, then I'm out of a job, right? It'd be terrible. I'll be unemployed. And I mean, today unemployed is not so bad, but the Yetzer Hara is very nervous. He'll be out of a job and everything. So he says, no, Vadi, you got to do tshuva. he gets in there, comes with a strimal and with a frock, don't worry. He comes with a big tie, and he says, you for sure have to do tshuva, okay? But he gets you to do tshuva in something which is doch nicht negeya. He finds you something which is like so not negeya, something either extremely unimportant or extremely not where you need to be working, or something b'chlal not negeya you. And he finds you to do epis something, abi nicht tahira tshuva. Don't be mar in tshuva and actually think. What does hear her tshuva mean? It means think about what you have to do tshuva. And he says, don't think, no way. Let's do something, say, find some epis interesting, weird school or this, that, or something epis, abi that you should feel that you did something. You did something. And not chalila, you just do too much. So he says this pshat, apologetic maisa. He says that's what happened here. He says the Kallus obviously did averis neiroyas. That's what there was a terrible churban and everything. They obviously did terrible averis. No, so the Yetzer Tov came and said to them, "You got to do tshuva." They said, "Oh yeah, we got to do something." So what did they find? Right? In other words, let me explain. The question over here is the absolute pella. Where does it say that you have to be moiser your nefesh for halanas hameis? I'm sorry, I just realized I'm all famata this week. I didn't explain the kasha, I'm sorry. Where does it say you have to be? I'm sorry, I'm interested in telling you the answer that I forgot to tell you what's the question. Oh, you guys are such good people. You weren't bothered. You know what the Aaron Leib statement asked? Aaron Leib and Rechaim, you know what they all asked, the Sefer Nesivra Fal, they asked, where does it say anywhere in the Torah that you have to give up your life for not being Melin and Mace in Yerushalayim? They knew outside are the enemies. They ran inside away from the enemies. And what happened? They went and they made sure here and we have to go and bury the mace. Where does it have to be Moiser Nafsham? It's one of the Gimel Chamuras that you have to give up your life for to make sure that you don't leave a mace overnight in Yerushalayim. Performed in the hands of an enemy, and it's a pikuach nefesh. What gave them a right to go out and bury the mace outside of Yerushalayim? What gave them a right to do that? To put themselves into the hands of the enemies and to fold themselves into a matzah pikuach nefesh. It's one of the Gimel Chamuras. That's what the Nesivra Fal is coming to answer. He's coming to answer that when this person has a tzara and the klal has a tzara, the Yetzer Tov tells him do tshuva. The Yetzer Hara says, yeah, do tshuva on what? Don't think on what you need to do. Find some interesting, weird thing. Right? But find some interesting thing or whatever that'll make you feel like you're actually doing tshuva and that you won't actually do tshuva, you won't be mechazik. So the Yetzer Hara came and found them the most not negaya thing to be doing tshuva, and they did all the averis you read in the Gemara in Yuma. Whether it was in the first base of Mikdash, it was the Ben Adam the Malka, and the second it was the Ben Adam the Chaveiroi and everything. They did all the averis. But what did they found? They found the Gemara in Baba Kama on Daf Pei Beis that one of the 10th Hanhaga is in Yerushalayim that you don't leave a mace. So they became very frum about that. They became extremely frum. We're never going to be Melin and Mace. They decided to be mechazik themselves in not being Melin and Mace in Yerushalayim. That's what they have to do tshuva on. And not the Ben Adam Chaver, and the Lashon Hara, and the Tznius, and the Bittul Torah, and all that. No, we're going to be very frum about what? We're not going to be Melin and Mace in Yerushalayim. So that's how he reads the pasuk. He reads it, that's what it's saying over here. You're going to have a Megeifa. And now you're going to do tshuva, but you're not going to do tshuva on what you're supposed to do. You're going to find some epis interesting thing to make you feel like you did tshuva, and then the mele, you're going to be moiser nafsham. You're going to go be moiser nefesh, to not be mele and mace in Yerushalayim, and with that, you're going to get caught by the enemy. Adkan is what he says. Now it's miyushiv. All the years, I never understood this, the whole sugya. Right? And that's a very, very important thing that should talk to us this week. Very important. You know, there was a tragedy in the Koil Bifrat and the Klal Yisrael at large. It's a tragedy, it's a tzara. So you have to mechazik. You have to be mechazik. You have to do tshuva on something, but not to find out what, not to find out what everybody else is doing tshuva on, and not to wait for the Klal Yisrael. What Klal Yisrael are going to do tshuva on. It doesn't work. It's a hearer of tshuva. To hear of tshuva, you have to think yourself, what do a hearer of tshuva, what do I have to think about that I have to do? And don't go and find some, I don't know, people, they found like this one, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to be mezalzel. It's always good to be mechazik in everything, right? And people like decided in one thing, they're going to all be mechazik, and you know what I'm talking about, I don't want to say. And they're all going to do this. That's your hearer of tshuva, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. Everyone's being mechazik in a certain anhaga and this, that. That's not my problem. Maybe my problem is something else. Maybe your problem is something else. So everyone has to do a hira tshuva. So where do we find this? So this is another thing. This bothers me even more. There's a Gemara in the Shabbos. The Gemara is the biggest pella in the whole Shas. The whole Shas, this Gemara is the biggest pella. The Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Samech. I have it here, but it's late, so I'll just say it. The Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Samech tells of a dreadful story. Now I'll read it to you. The Gemara tells of a dreadful story. When she called at 5:30 in the morning and told me what had happened, that there was a stampede and this and that, the first thing I thought of is this Gemara. And before I said Moida Ani. It says, L'yetze ha'aish b'sandal mesummer. You're not allowed to walk on Shabbos outside with a sandal mesummer. Sandal mesummer is some type of weird shoe or something that has nails in it. Weird shoe. It hasn't even come to Hollywood yet. A weird shoe. The Gemara goes on and says, Sandal mesummer my timer. Now let me explain to you. This Gemara is about to go on for a blot. This Gemara is about to go on for a blot. This Gemara is about to go on for a blot. This means it's one of the most important Gemaras in Masechta Shabbos. How many blatim? How much Gemara is there on the Malacha of Toichin that we spent a month in this room on? There's one line. It's one line. Poor people, right? How many dafim are there on Boyer? Anybody know? It's like an Omid and Daf Ayin Daled, and in Kuf Lamed you can pretend it's Boyer, but it's really Marathi. It's like an kid learn Boyer, right? I could give Shiur on Boyer for 1,000 years, right? And it wouldn't be enough, right? But there's like one Omid. Sandal Mesummer, this Gemara gets a whole daf of Shas. A whole entire daf of Shas. So what is this? What happened over here? So Gemara says this unbelievable, dreadful Maisa. You're not allowed to wear a sandal Mesummer. It's terrible. You can't wear sandal Mesummer. It's this looking sandal. So Gemara says, my timer, what happened? Gemara says, how much Shmuel Lefia Shema, it was a Shema, and they were hiding in a cave. They were in a Ma'ara. Sound familiar? And Amru an Nichnas Yikana, they were afraid of the enemy. No one's allowed to go in, go out. They thought one guy got out. They got all nervous. Or even they think that the enemy's coming. So they all trampled each other. The enemy. That's one mandamar. There's a different mandamar. He says, B'mar Yoshvin, they were in the, and they thought that the Oivim, another story. Then the Gemara brings, no, they were in a base of Knesset. That's also a Ma'ara Rabbi Shimon. It's also a base Knesset Rabbi Shimon. The way that Taisus learns the Gemara is not like Rashi. He learns they didn't stab themselves with the sandalim. They heard the sandalim, and then they pushed each other, and they were same idea. They suffocated, and they were trampled to death. So the Gemara says, because of this Maisa, came along Chazal, and they made a takana. You're not allowed to wear a sandal mesummer. You're not allowed to wear a sandal mesummer in order that this should never happen again. This Gemara goes on for another whole amud and talks about what if it has this amount of nails, 10 nails and 24 nails and boyimines, mit ekus, mit das, mamish, right? A ganze Gemara about their sandal mesummer. Well, sandal mesummer, can it's pater from them sandal mesummer. All daf Gemara about this sandal mesummer. This Gemara, hafla b'pella, pella Gemara, this is pella gedoyla, right? If I say, that's the response? That's the response? How many people died in this? I don't know. Doesn't say. I have no idea. But Yosef from what the enemies killed. So it was a terrible tragedy. It's probably bigger than the tragedy we had this week. Right? That's the response. We got to make sure nobody ever wears again a sandal mesummer. Pella gedoyla. That's the response. We have to make a takana, no more sandal mesummer. We have to make a takana, no more going to Meron. Right? That's it. No more. They've got to make a takana, something, right? The Beis Din has to get up and make a takana, no more going to Meron. It should say over here, they decreed a Yom Tefillah, and everybody was told we have to all do tshuva, and everyone was told they have to do 2 halachas day and shmiras aloshin, and everyone, there was a collective tshuva of the ganze Klal Yisrael. No? The Gemara says, fakir, punkt. The Gemara says, you know what they did? The Gemara says, they made a takana, no more sandal mesummer, no more going to Meron. That's a pella. All your Rebbeim are saying that like this. All your Rebbeim are saying that's what's important now. The circumstance, that's what's important now. What's important now is to be mechazek. So what's up with the Gemara? Pella Gedolah. And the Gemara doesn't stop. The Gemara is a whole daf. Pella. It's a pella. This Gemara is a pella. Rabbi say, my life tells me, no, pshat, this Gemara is, that's exactly what the Gemara is saying. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying, the job of Beis Din, you find this in the Gemara, you find this thing all over the place. You find it all over Choshen Mishpat. The job of the Beis Din, the job of the leaders and whatnot, is to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's not your job. The job of the Beis Din is to make sure this doesn't happen again. They made a takana, and right? And whatever the Rabban will say about yes going to Meron next year and this and that, they have to say something. That's the job of the Beis Din and the Rabbanim and whatever, to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's not your job. The Beis Din is not going to get up and make a takana that you have to say, that you have to go and be more tsanua, that you have to go and not be mevat Torah, and that you have to go and do tshuva on. There's nothing that the Beis Din can say that you have to do tshuva on. You have to do a hira tshuva. You have to see, what is it that I have to do? What's the Beis Din's job? Beis Din has a different job. Beis Din's job is make sure this doesn't happen again. Tshuva? Tshuva, everybody has to do tshuva when you hear such a maisa. Weird things, weird statements people make. We don't have Nevi'im today. We don't know what happened. Do tshuva. And we don't know why and what. Every person has to hear such a thing and be maharer in tshuva and think of something that you have to do. So the Beis Din is going to come along and say, everybody has to say, from this point on, be mechazik 20 more minutes in learning. Every person has to be more tsanua. Every person... Go figure out what's your problem. If you have all those problems, fix them. Fix whatever your problems are. Beis Din? That's not Beis Din's job. That's not Beis Din's job. That's what the message of this Gemara is for a whole blot. Yes, it's a very important Gemara. The job of Beis Din is not that. That's your job. That's your job, is to be mahar and tshuva. That's your job. And not to find some weird thing to be mechazik myself in, or that I found out that somebody else is doing. Does everybody lay your deya mar nafshay? What's your problem is not my problem. Right? But you got to do something. Out to Square Rebbe, they tell a story that there was a fire in Square after the war. Wasn't nothing to do with the war. And I think the Sifrei Torah were burnt. I don't know what the whole Maisa. Remember the Maisa was? Who knows the Maisa? That the Sifrei Torah were burnt and whatever. And they made a big Osiris. I don't know if people were hurt, but it was a big tragedy. The base of Medrash burned and the Sifrei Torah were burnt, and it was a terrible tragedy, a terrible tsar. And they, Lamaisa, they made some big Osiris or something. And at this Osiris, the Rabbanim wrote some type of a letter. And at the letter it said that, I don't remember exactly, something about how everybody will accept Shabbos 20 minutes early or something from now on. Something like that, whatever it was. And the Square Rebbe, who is the one that was his base medrash, he wouldn't sign. He said, everybody has to find what is his problem. Everybody has to find, there's a zach, maybe if the whole Klal Yisrael is doing something, I'm going to do it too, right? But I can't write a letter that says that the nekuda is that everybody has to go and accept Shabbos 20 minutes early, because that's not your problem. Do that also. And I'm going to do it probably. The Square Rebbe probably did it. But that's not you can't be, everyone has to be mahara in tshuva. Have to be mahara to think. It can't be I have to think for you. The Beis Din can't think for you. The Beis Din can't think and say, everyone has to do this. That's exactly what the Beis Din is not doing. The Beis Din is making a takana that's our job, to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's the job of the Beis Din. That's the job of the Rabbanim or Chleis Tishvas. Maybe it's the job of the authorities and whatever. And the Rabbanim will start suit to whatever the authorities say, et cetera, et cetera. We agree that there has to be traffic laws. You might not like the Zionists, but you like the traffic laws. You might not like the parking ticket, right? But you have to, so fine. So that rule you'd have to follow. That rule you'll have to follow. But that has nothing to do. And if that's what people are thinking about, that's not your job. That's what you're thinking about. That's what you're thinking about. That this happened because it was this and that. Who cares? What shaykh is? Right? I won't be moichel my children if they go next year, but that's nothing to do with this. What does that have to do with this? What you have to do now is hear a tshuva. What you have to do now is hear a tshuva. You have to do hear a tshuva. So I started thinking, I'll just tell you two thoughts, nothing to do. I'm not going to tell you my hear a tshuva. But I started to think. But you have to think. I started thinking two things. Just two things. I just want to tell you where your thoughts take you after two things. I think a lot of you will feel connected to the two thoughts that I'm feeling. That's why I'm going to tell them to you. I started thinking like in a sikkum of this, well, listen, if Yirmiyahu can curse that week, if Yirmiyahu can curse the day that he was born, so then I can curse this week. It's not far off. But there were tshuva. There were thoughts that came out. What were the thoughts that came out? So I was thinking one thought is that, listen, I'll be honest with what I was thinking. I was thinking about myself. I think most people think more, that I'm a lot more than I really am. But by most people, it's the opposite. By most people, it's the opposite. It's me, so most people think, wow, he's this, and it's really fakir. But I realized this week, by most people, it's the opposite. I think most of us came to a realization he was like a regular guy here. And then you're starting to see here, this is somebody there was so much more. You start to see that about somebody, there's so much more than you're actually seeing. The guy sitting next to you, there's so much more than you're actually seeing. It gave me das because I told you, I think by me it's the opposite. And you know what I mean. because I sit here and I whatever. So with Mistama, oh, he's this, and it's pum fakir. But by fakir, by a person sitting next to you, it's the exact opposite. There's so much more than what you're seeing. There's so much more. Nobody knew all this stuff. Nobody knew all this stuff. And if you just thought about it for a moment, you would have came to 50% of it. You wouldn't have come to all of it, but you would have come to 50%. You would realize the running into mincha to this. Well, I'm not going to go through it, but you got what I'm saying. You would have realized a lot of it. You would have realized the Belzadian story and the whole story that we had. It was like geschmack and whatever, right? If you would have thought about it the way you thought about it this week, you the guy sitting next to you, you get so much more. There's so much more. It'll give you a much easier time in Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi. When you realize the Tzelem Elokim that's sitting next to you, there's so much more to that person. That's a Peladik Maisa. So much more. Peladik Maisa. And then I was thinking something else. I was thinking another thing. I think a lot of you will share this feeling too. There was a lot of, listen to what I'm saying, Rabbi said, my life is talking now, so just listen to me. There was a lot of things that you heard this week, which were from a Zachen, that were Geschmack. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of us that we have this this Natiya, this anti-from. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Come from the same place, Rabbi, okay? Right? And a lot of us have this anti-from, from, nishva fruit, okay? And a lot of us have this anti-from hergish and things, and then we feel from, and we have to make that face also, right? And a lot of us don't like from. We don't like from. And then you saw this week something very beautiful. You saw from that, you all enjoyed it. You all enjoyed it, and none of us ever knew it. I never knew it. I never knew the from and the zachen. I never knew the from and zachen, right? I'm very from and very geschmack. And it gave me a chizik in the from. You understand what I'm saying? I can't explain this. If you understand, good. If not, I don't care, right? You understand what I'm saying? Does everybody understand me or not? Am I talking to myself? I wouldn't even care, right? But it wouldn't be the first time. But no, you know what I'm saying? There was so much from a zachen this week that was so geschmack. There was so geschmack, and it gave me a chizik and you know what? That attitude that we have against from, right? It's not right. It's not right. Maybe frumt we don't like, and he was not, right? It gave me big chizik in the Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi aspect that you have somebody next to you. There's a lot more that meets the eye. There's so much more. There's so much more. And it gives you maybe not to be makbid on this person, and maybe that there's so much more. And klape, all my Ben Adam L'Makom things of I don't want to be from. Yeah, you do. You could. Why not? You could be geschmack also. And you loved it this week. Everyone this week looked into a person and found out that there was so much more about a person. And everyone this week also saw that from is geschmack. Geschmack, it's geschmack. It's not something, and you liked it. Everything, if you would have heard it when we didn't have our laves open, we'd have been, that face. Right? And now. So in Sikum, the Parsha gives us clear guidance. Don't be mechazik yourself in something that's not negaya you, or something that's not negaya, or whatever, right? Find out what it is. Don't just pick up something so that the Yetzer Hara should be happy, right? And the job to figure out if this should have happened or will happen again, that's not your problem. That's based in. That's not your problem. Your job is to be maharher in tshuva. And if you want to do what everyone else is doing, do that also. I don't care, but that doesn't pater you from doing a year of tshuva. That's your responsibility. That's why you'll never see a Gemara about that. That's not the job of the Gemara. Of course you have to be mahar in tshuva. That's psukim in the Torah. And Father, that's the whole entire Torah. Why do you have to be mahar in tshuva? Of course you have to be mahar in tshuva. And Maisa, just a little bit of help of a direction in here at tshuva. It's just time in the thoughts. You see how much appreciation you can have in the Ben Adam L'Chaveiroi and in the Ben Adam L'Malka. Okay, good job, Rabbi.
Maybe there's